Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today we'll be doing a painting tutorial on painting our Stomrcast Praetors. In particular, I'll be painting the Praetor Prime. Now to paint the Praetor Prime, I first primed it in Zhandri dust, and then the paints I used were Army Painter's Greedy Gold, P3 Solid Gold, Army Painter's Shining Silver, Vallejo Silver, Army Painter Necromancer Cloak, Ash Gray, Deep Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Electric Blue, and Matte Black. Now the Citadel paints I'll use are Ionrach Skin, White Scar, Mournfang Brown, Mephiston Red. And I'll use 3 shades from Citadel: Drakenhof Nightshade, Nuln Oil, and Seraphim Sepia. So let's go ahead and get started. To start, I primed him Zhandri dust, and just as a note, it started to fuzz. Had a humidity change unexpectedly, but still salvageable. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Army Painter Greedy Gold, which sticks to Zhandri dust quite well, and I'm just going to take one of my messed up brushes and just slop it on nice and thick. Now the next layer of gold we're going to put on is some P3 Solid Gold. It's just like Games Workshop's Arc Armor, but the bottle's bigger and the paint lasts longer before drying out. So I'm going to use my dry brush here, and I'm just going to, any place that's golden already that I can hit with this large brush is where I'll go after. And this will create a different effect on the gold. Get a couple different shades in there. So the deeper recesses where the shadows would be darker. Make sure to get the back of the head here. Now that we have the 2 layers of gold on, I'm going to take some Seraphim Sepia. I'll pop that baby open, and I'll take my messed up brush here and just apply one liberal coat to all the areas we painted gold. Now while we wait for the wash to dry, I'm going to take my little tool here, some sterling mud, and I'm going to texture the base. It takes a while for this stuff to dry, so you might as well dry together. Don't touch the gold with it, though it stains. Now that everything's dried, ready to go back to my P3 Solid Gold. I take my dry brush, just a little bit of gold, to be more of a classic dry brush. We're just going to try to hit areas where the light comes down and would strike the plates on the model. Now I want to paint the texture on the base. I don't want this brown. I want to go for something darker and blacker, but I want to go for Necromancer's Cloak. A really dark gray. I've already poured some out into my palette, so I'll just take my brush and start applying it. And what this allows me to do is there's areas that they sculpted as texture in the model I'll turn those to match what I put in. Just set it down and start spinning. One thick coat. Now I'm ready to paint all the silver portions. So I'm going to use Army Painter Shining Silver. And I'm going to use this on her mail coat. There. And we've got the little elements of the staff. Make sure not to hit. The staff hand comes down really close to the base. I don't want to start crossing colors at this point. And then we have the blades and the other metal bits here. I'm going to leave the rosette gold up there. Now we're ready to do the blue sections. For that I'm going to use Army Painter's Deep Blue. And that's going to be pretty much the cloak here. Say sometimes this paint comes out really thin, so we might have to do 2 coats of it. Now I'm going to take some Mournfang brown, and I'm going to do some of his little belt buckles, little straps, or hers. So we have belt right there. You'll notice on the forearms there's these little straps, and that buckles our armor down. I'm going to get both sides. You normally see them on the, let's see, you got them on the legs, near the calf, buckling the shin guard in. So you also want to do the belt. Just catch a piece of the belt back here. You really can't see it, but there's also a strap on the breastplates. So those are the places where the straps are. And when you got the inside of their forearm, just run the brush along the forearm strap. Alright, we'll get this calf. And then I also want to get the staff. For the weapon, I paint this brown. Now I want to take some Ionrach skin. My bad. And what we're going to do is we're going to paint the Sigmar face device white. And we're just going to draw a little circle, leaving the gold rim. Not painting the gold rim or getting any other stuff on it will be challenging from this point on. But I just need a steady hand. Now for red, I'm going to use Mephiston Red. It's a base from Citadel paint line. Probably one of the best reds out there. Cover anything. So what we're going to do is I want to get the gemstones there. There's one in the head. Just a little dot. There's one on each side of the weapon. And the last 2 spots I'm going to do here is I've got some little rope here to tie off their belts. So we're going to cover that in the red. since this is the Prime, it's a fancy red headpiece. So at this point, I'm going to apply some washes. And I'm going to start with a Drakenhof Nightshade. So we'll shake that up. This is a dark blue. And first one, I'm just going to get a little bit. So I wipe some of it out, and I'm just going to put it over this white Sigmar. Trying not to get it on the gold. Then we'll put some Drakenhof on the blue coat here. Then I've got the cloak. I also want to do Drakenhof Nightshade on the silver armor. That'd be the scale mail right there. And on the weapon. At this point, I'm going to put on a wash of Nuln Oil. I'm going to be very focused on just the leather of the belt. And then this red stuff here. Not a little too much, so I wipe off the brush. Use it to soak that back up. Just kind of pat it on. And then I want the Prime headdress here. Now, the last wash I'm going to use is a Seraphim Sepia. And that is going to be on the parts of this banner, there's Zhandri dust. I wanted to do all the I wanted to time it so all the washes had to go on at the same time, so that I take advantage of the combined drying time. Make it nice and thick so it can go into this lettering. There's also a little scroll sash down here, so we'll get that. Now I'm going to highlight, well, how to put this. I'm going to add some highlighting to the silver and gold plating, but kind of using a dry brush method. And for that I'm going to use Vallejo Silver. And I'm going to take a brush that I've beat up and trimmed most of the bristles off. I've got some silver here. What this is going to allow me to do is I'm just going to hit it against some of the gold portions here. And what I'm mainly looking to do is anywhere light would come down, trying to just add a touch of reflection. Mainly around the parts facing upward. You can make nice straight lines, show the streaking. sure to get the weapons. Now the parts that would be cast in shadow, like I might get that. I might get the knee, but like the feet, I just do the side where like the light could actually hit in. Maybe a little bit of the abs to highlight the 8-pack going on there. And that'll be that. I got a little bit on the red belt, but we'll cover that up with when we highlight that. Now I'm going to do some of the black around here, and where that is for is the back sides for like the little suit that they wear. I want to show that that's black. Brown's also another good color for that. That's what they wear underneath their armor. You can see like these little ripples. That's supposed to be the folds in that leather. And with this model, it's so covered up you really don't see a lot of the joints. Maybe like a little bit right there. That's that. Now, what I'm going to do is I normally save this but last, but I poured too much black. I've already finished the other two models in this line here. What I'm going to do is take this and go around. I'm going to finish off the rim here. Just so I don't waste the paint. Oops. Now I'm going to take some ash gray, and at this point I highlight the black areas. So, but on this model it's pretty much just a line there, highlighting the tips of the bodysuit there. Yeah, I covered up that later. Oops. And I want to get the rocks. Decided all the rocks will be ash gray. So there's one there and one there. Now I'm going to go back to my Nuln Oil, but this is just for the rocks and bases here and for the little withering plant. So we'll just coat this around liberally. Next I'll take some lava orange here, and I'm going to put some little highlights on the tops of the rope, the braids of her little belt. This allows me to cover up some of the silver I got on it. I'll just move down, swipe, swipe, swipe. That's already given it some depth. If it'll focus. There we go. Alright, and then I'll just go ahead and do top part of the plume here. Just using the side of my brush. And you can highlight it to taste, depending how much orange contrast you want in there with the red. Now I'm going to do some blue here. I'm going to work on this cloak. So I've got some ultramarine blue. I'm going to just take a messed up dry brush here. What I'm going to do is run the blue following the folds in the cloak. And I'm probably only going to put like 2 coats on it. But you see these areas like down here. Those will probably only get like 1 coat to go deep because I want them to be darker. And then the higher color parts that would be out of the shadow, they'll get 2 coats. That way the color will pop more. And then I have to be more careful up here not to touch the gold. Oh, I'm not even on camera. Jeez Louise. Now, on the inside of the cloak, I'm going to brush off a lot of the paint and just a little dabbling on this part, saying the light will catch it more, but I'm not going to do this inside shady part. There we go. Just touch this up a little bit. Now I'm going to turn back to my red, and I'm going to go use the Mephiston Red, and I'm going to do the grip of the pole arm there. So I'm going to take my pointy brush that's slowly dying and fraying apart, and I'm going to abuse it some more by kind of using it as like a dry brush and just running it sideways so it just catches the top edges of the brown. And the reason I didn't do this sooner is because I knew I'd probably hit the staff with like other colors, and this red will just clean it up. That means I'm going to have to be careful here not to hit the gold of the hand, the silver, the head of the weapon. I just want to hit the top parts. Got a lot of cleanup right here. Got a little too happy with the silver. So the brown peeks through just a little bit in the bottom. That way it gives the sense of more of a leather that's been dyed red. And you gotta be nice and careful here not to hit anything. Alright, now we can let that dry. Now I'm going to use some white scar here, and I'm going to punch up the little Sigmar face device on the brooch there. So I'm going to use my really tiny brush. And at this point, the Sigmar face looks like a muddled mess. So I'm just going to quickly sketch around it. So I'm going to draw a circle. Now there's a beard down there somewhere. I can make out the eyes. I'm following the 3-foot rule. So I just got to look good from 3 foot away. So a little bit of paint on this tiny brush. I'll catch only the top edges. I'm going to put an extra layer on the forehead, the nose, pieces of the beard, cheekbones. Now to finish this one up, I'm going to take some electric blue. Yeah, that one right there. I've already put it into my dish, and I'm going to take and highlight the cloak here. So I've got my brush. I'm going to use the side of it and just cut these raised edges here. Just get these raised folds here. Don't want to get too carried away with it. See right there. Taking most of it off, I'll just do one quick streak. I'll just tint it a little bit. Just run the top edge there. Now for our final step here, I took some ash gray, put it in the tray here. I'm going to get my large dry brush here. Going to get most of the paint out, and we're just going to run it. So I want to run it up, down, and left to right to avoid any, get any pattern streakiness there. Like that. See how I brought the brush down, and you can tell, oh, that looks like someone put a brush stroke there. If I run it that way, we'll just spin this guy around. There we go. There is our Praetor Prime. Looking good. Well, thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and I'll see you next time.